Okay, for this project, you are going to need your pencil, your eraser, and assorted colors. I'm choosing marker. You can use whatever you'd like though. Okay, so this is going to be an abstract name artwork, which means that we are making our name, but it's going to be abstract, which, as we talked about in class, is non-recognizable artwork. So something that is creative and something that is using your imagination and is something that is going to fill up the paper nicely so our eyes will move around. And we're going to try to put a lot of color and a lot of great craftsmanship into this project. Okay, so we're doing sketching, so that means that you're holding your pencil in the middle, not up here like when you write. Okay, so we're holding the pencil in the middle so that we're not putting too much pressure on it, so we make nice light marks on our paper so that we can still erase if we need to. Okay, now the other thing you need to remember is you have a full piece of paper that you're making this artwork on, so I want you to use the whole piece of paper. Okay, don't just make a little tiny thing somewhere. You want to make sure that you're filling up as much space as possible, because we want to make a nice large piece of artwork that's dynamic and makes it so that you want to look at all of it. Okay, so you want to lead your eye around everywhere. Okay, now for this project we're going to be writing our name in an abstract way, but I'm going to give you a couple of pointers about how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to write my full name. I'll just write Kukala for my last name. You're going to choose your first name, or you can do your last name, it's up to you. But I'm going to write out each letter, and then I'm going to trace around what I write to make my letter. Okay, so I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to make a nice big K. Okay. And remember, we are writing very light so we can erase. Then I'm going to take a black marker. You can use a different color if you'd like. And what you're going to do is you're going to basically draw a big box around your sketch of your letter. Okay, so notice how the line of my K goes right there, but I am actually drawing a nice big box around it, stopping so that I can get a nice big boxy letter. Okay, this is a little bit of a challenging piece to this artwork, is making it so you get a nice big thick letter. Okay, and then when I have my letter sketched out and drawn out with my marker, I'm going to go ahead and erase my pencil line just to keep it so that I'm working cleanly and I'm not going to get confused later, because what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up overlapping a lot of our letters. Now, that being said, this is an abstract piece, so I don't need to do my whole name as if I was writing it. I'm actually going to overlap my letters and put them in funny places. So I'm going to put the next letter over here, and I'm going to overlap my K slightly in a couple of areas like that. So there's my U. Now notice how I was totally fine with crossing over the lines I've already made. I want you to do that. I want you to try to do that. Okay. I'm going to put my C right here. Now again, you are doing your name. I am doing my name as an example. And I'm just using that skinny line I made with my pencil as a guide, so that I can make a big boxy letter around it. If you're having trouble making a boxy letter, you can practice on the back of your sheet first, or on another sheet of paper, or on a whiteboard, or with chalk, or whatever you need to do until you get used to making these big letters. So notice how I'm sketching nice and light, and I'm erasing my lines each time because I don't want to get confused when I'm doing my other letters. Now, if you get confused, it's okay. This is a hard thing to do sometimes, which is why I'm going slow. I'm going nice and slow, and I'm making sure that I'm really thinking about how I'm gonna lay things out. Okay. All right, so that looks like a crazy jumble of things, doesn't it? All right, next step after we've got all of our letters written out, and notice again, I used all the letters in my name, but I spread them out and put them in interesting places, and that's okay. And I overlapped them, which is really exciting and important for what we're gonna do next, which is color this in. So what you're going to do is you're going to choose colors, and you're going to color in every shape that you see that is completely enclosed, which means that this part of the K, right? But going around where I have an overlap from the U here, and just a tiny little skinny piece right there, but it's still an enclosed shape. Okay, and remember, a shape is something that is enclosed with lines. We use a lot of shapes in art, and it's a really important word and a really important skill to have, is making good shapes that are nicely enclosed, got a line all the way around them. And notice how I am doing my coloring rather carefully with the side edge of my marker so I get a nice thick line. But you can see there, and I want to make sure I do nice clean work, you can see there that that's one whole shape, okay? And now I'm going to do the other shapes that I see one by one. And see, now that one's just a tiny little shape in there, so I'm only doing that one little color. Okay, this is going to be a challenge because one of the things that you're going to want to try to accomplish while you are working on this project is to try to make it so that no two colors touch each other or right next to each other in shapes that are right next to each other, if you can. It's okay if you can't make that happen, but I want you to try. This is also the way that I'm coloring right now. This is also a really great way to make sure that you keep the tips of your marker staying really nice, because I'm not scribbling and putting a whole lot of pressure down on my marker. I'm just using the side and going kind of slow. And I feel like even if I were scribbling, I'd probably take more time filling in an entire shape that way than I would doing it this way. Nice and careful work with the edge of the side edge of my marker. Okay, so I'm going to continue to do this. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna try to fill up, I'd like for you to fill up the whole paper if you can, okay? And I will show you what this looks like when I am all finished. But we're just going through and we are making each shape filled in with one color. Okay? Okay, so here is my completed artwork, and you can notice here that it is curling up a little bit because it's still wet with the marker. If your project is doing this, you can always put something flat on top of it and something heavy on top, like a book, for a couple of hours, and it should flatten all the way out. But I want to show you what the completed piece looks like. So what I did was I took every single enclosed shape and I picked a different color to color them in with. I tried really hard not to let two colors be right next to each other as much as possible. And I also did the background as well. Okay, now you can see here that what I did was I changed colors just where a shape got near the edge of the paper. There were also a couple of areas where I did touch the edge of the paper, but I just kind of fibbed a little line to switch colors just so that the background had a lot more color than just one solid piece. But this is going to be what our completed name, abstract name artwork looks like. All right, so again, we learned about shape and what the word abstract means. And we are practicing great craftsmanship by coloring things in nicely and completely. Okay, so great job.